Hello there fellow humans, welcome to this video, and today I want to talk about the Titan balance adjustments, because why the hell not? Obviously, let's get into it. I'm gonna get yourself some good replays here that are gonna work, and then we'll talk about it. Obviously, we're gonna start off with the mouse. And before I start off, don't forget to hit that like button down there if you are liking it. And don't forget, this tank is not OP, don't buy crates for it, buy the chieftain instead. All hail King Chieftain. Right? So yeah, even more so now. Because we're gonna start off with the mouse. HP nerf, accuracy nerf. Cool, you know. Deserves a bit more, I think. I think it should be nerfed a bit further. You know. It's only getting nerfed by like 100 something HP. I would put it down to 2.7. in terms of HP, you know, somewhere level with the E100, and then put the E100 down a bit as well. So, just to make that a bit more level, you know, because the tank's defining factor should be the armor, not the hit points. But yeah, I don't see any point in the accuracy nerf, really. I would just remove more hit points and leave the accuracy on its own, but it's fine, I guess. It's a step in the right direction, right? What isn't a step in the right direction, in my eyes, is the E5 nerf. Because, obviously, the E5's signature thing is gonna be the gun, right? And it's gonna get nerfed by 200 DPM. And so is its turret traverse, I believe. Which, one of the two, that's fine. But why would you nerf both? And what for? Sure, the E5 is a very strong tank at the moment. All that does, though, is make the E5 useless compared to the Chieftain. It's gonna make the Chieftain even more insane at tier 10, right? Because obviously, if you have the Chieftain, which has more DPM, more gun depression, more accuracy, more mobility, basically the same armor, you know, there's no point to play the E5 at all. Which is quite sad, but I mean, it's still gonna be quite a good tank even after the nerf. It's not gonna do too much, it's just gonna be a bit sad. So, yeah. With the IS-4, it's gonna get similar nerfs. It's, I think that's fine, because obviously the more armor a tank has, the worse its mobility and gun have to be to basically make up for it. Because, I don't know if you know, the less armor a tank has, the more harder it is to play. The more armor a tank has, the easier it is to play. Obviously, because you're just gonna bounce shots by default, you know? You're not gonna have to do anything. Obviously, to make them work really well, you have to know advanced positioning, like you have to do with basically all tanks to be a good player. But a 40%er is gonna do better in a mouse than in a leopard, because the mouse is gonna have, like, it's gonna bounce more shots on its own, and it's gonna be more durable, so the 40%er is alive for longer to cause no damage. Basically. So yeah. That's why I think the IS-4 nerf is more justified than the nerf to the E5. Because obviously the IS-4 has way more armor, so it's fine, I think. It's not great, but it's fine. Not a big fan of the IS-4 anyway, but you know, it's there. Then we continue with, I think, the dumbest adjustment of this entire update, and that is the 215B DPM nerf. Like, the fuck are they thinking? The fuck are they thinking? You know, it makes sense with the E5, right? Because the E5 is all around a very, very strong tank. It does make sense. Gotta say that. I don't like it, but it makes sense. With the 215B, it doesn't make any fucking sense whatsoever, because the 215B is the gun, right? It's like the grill, you know? The gun has to be insane because the platform is shit. On the 215B, you have the turret at the back, you only have 7 degrees of gun depression. The armor isn't the greatest, the mobility is there. So, if the gun is bad, the entire tank becomes basically useless. And that's unfortunately what they're kind of trying to do there. The tank itself, it's very hard to play, so it's top heavy already, you know? Towards good players. You know, because you have to know how to position it, you have to know how to side script, you have to know all those things. And by nerfing the DPM, you make it even more top heavy, because now, to extract that damage out of it, you're gonna have to be even better, because you have less to work with, right? So that's not ideal. I completely disagree with that. I don't get it. What the 215B should be getting is, at best, a dispersion nerf. So it's not a railgun anymore. If they want to nerf it. But I don't know why. They should nerf it. But yeah, there's that. And then we continue with something not so shit, and that's the M48 pattern. Well, it's shit now, because while it's on its own quite a decent tank, I guess, if you know how to play it, in the grand scheme of things, why would you play the pattern when you can play the E50M or you can play the STB-1? There's no point to it, right? But the pattern's going to get a bit more rate of fire and a bit more penetration, so that's quite a nice adjustment. However, ladies and gentlemen, I said all hail the King Chieftain. On the heavy side, on the medium side, we now have a new king, undisputed new king, and the T22 medium can go fuck itself, because the E50M is apparently getting a buff. The most well-armored T10 medium tank. One of the already strongest T10 medium tanks is getting a buff. Yeah. I don't know why, but it is. It somehow is. So yeah, basically, if you don't have the E50M yet, now's the perfect time to start grinding. You know, Gravity just ended. I think Burning Game's gonna come back soon. So that's a cool mode to grind. You know, the Panther 2 is quite painful. Stock E50 is painful, but the upgraded E50 is amazing. The E50M is gonna be absolutely insane. It's not gonna be OP. Just like this thing isn't OP. You know, it has 2.5k DPM and this big like a barn. Like, it's not broken. You have to know what you're doing to make it work. Or you just get yourself an account in reroll matchmaking and shit on people. I get. So, that's an option. But yeah, let's continue with the balance adjustments. Because the further ones aren't going to make much sense to me. The FE4202 is a very top-heavy adjustment. He gets 10 kilometers an hour, more top speed. What do I mean by top-heavy? Good players are going to profit, bad players aren't. You know, a bad play, like, let's say a 45%er is going to go from 45 to 45.1, and a 65 is going to go from 65 to 67 in that tank, basically. Because obviously, mobility needs positional knowledge. You have to know how to position yourself, you have to be map aware, you know, you have to look at the minimap, you have to be aware of your surroundings, where the enemy tanks are, where can I go, blah blah blah, all those knowledge. That's not that knowledge that a lot of players don't have, and a lot of players also don't want to obtain. So it's a very top-heavy adjustment. It's cool, but it's not going to do much for the tank itself in the grand scheme of things, because with a Hesh gun as well, it's a very niche tank in the first place, you know. So yeah, it's cool. To all the FE for 202 enjoyers out there, it's cool, but it's not going to do too much. But yeah. Then, what's also not going to do anything is the 263, which is about the most pointless adjustment in the entire update, I think. They're trying to make it more of an assault tank, but all they're doing is making it even more useless. Because they're going to nerf the accuracy, so now you can't camp and you can't frontline it, because, you know, you don't have any armor. And now you're going to have worse accuracy, so you can't camp in either, so good job. Well done. It's a very situational tank, obviously, like a lot of tank throwers are, you know, they're situational. I wouldn't recommend playing them if you want to win. So, there's that. I wouldn't get the 263. I wouldn't, you know, if you want a tank destroyer, 268, Foch, Grill. Maybe the Hori, but that's about what I'd go for. The others are just way too situational and they're not gonna help you much. Like the FE4005, which I obviously play like a medium tank, like I do with every single tank in the game, because I just can't be bothered to play a certain way. Yeah, I just do my thing, you know. Because obviously, playing situationally isn't my thing. I play reactively, right? Where I see the tanks and then I position myself accordingly. So I'm not a big tank destroyer fan to begin with, but with the 4005. It's more of a medium than a tank destroyer, to be honest, because you can't camp with it, because your camera rating's in the toilet, so camping with it is basically impossible. What's also impossible is doing well if you're a bad player, because obviously he doesn't have any armor, and like I said, if he doesn't have any armor, it's gonna be insanely hard to play, because you have to know how to position yourself, and you have to know how to avoid getting shot at. So, it's gonna get a rate of fire nerf, again, top heavy. It's gonna be very good for the good players. It's not gonna do anything for the trash players. You know, if you get more rate of fire, you have to know how to use it, and a lot of people don't. And to learn how to use it, well, analyze your mistakes, you know, it's that simple. Just look, oh, I went there, how did I die, why did I die, what could I have done better, think about what you're doing, boom, you're gonna get better, it's that simple. You know, just analyze, where does this tank belong, what can I do with this tank, on what map, all those kind of things, you know? Use brain. Use le brain. So yeah, with that said, 4005 again, you know, rate of fire buff. Cool. Cool for me, not cool for the bad players, which there's a lot of players. But yeah, it's gonna do something, but not much, basically. So yeah, with that said, the 4005 itself is kind of a bit of an oxymoron of a tank, you know, you can't camp with it, you can't play it aggressive because it doesn't have armor. It has an autoloader for some reason, even though it should have a 183. It doesn't make much sense, but yeah. With that said, let's go to the last one now. That is the E4. T110 E4. Is it currently good? No. It isn't. It just isn't. Especially with the 60 TP coming into existence soon. Well, the 60 TP at the moment absolutely sucks. But, in terms of statistics. But, with the E4, you just have a dilemma, right? It's a turretless, it's a turret-ted worse E3. Is it gonna be better? Well, a bit, yes. It's gonna get a bit more armor on the cupola, I believe. It's gonna get a dispersion buff or something. Which isn't really the problem with the tank. I think the two main problems with the tank is gun depression and cheek armor. You know, like, you can penetrate the cheeks of the turret quite easily. So, like, there's not much point playing that thing when, like, you can play a heavy that's better or a tank destroyer that's better. It's like the MX-30B, like, it's in the middle. It doesn't have any of the good assets of any side, maybe besides the pen on the gun, which is, I mean, the E4 gun is great. Also, the servers on Wargaming are very great, you know, you get lag in the worst possible moment, which makes you delay your shot, and then the mouse can push you and do damage, and you're gonna lose. But yeah, thank you, Wargaming, I guess. Thanks for the lag there. And yeah, but you can see the mouse does definitely need an adjustment, and I think that's fair. But yeah, with the E4, it's not gonna do much again, but it's cool that it does get a bit of love. And yeah. With that said, what do you think about the changes? What do you think? That's the thing. Put it in the comments. What is your opinion on those things? And also, Wargaming, I think you forgot something. I think they did forget something. Like, hello. With that buff of the pattern, this thing is gonna be like completely worthless, right? So yeah, F in the chat for the Object 140. And with that, horrible disappointment. That's it. Thanks for watching. See you for the next one. Goodbye.